Content disclaimer. The views expressed in this video are solely those of the host, collaborator, and contributor and do not necessarily represent the views of Royal Productions OWC LLC. We encourage diverse perspectives and open dialogue. If you have any concerns, please contact us at info@royalproductionsowc.com. Thank you for being a part of the RPOWC community. Greetings, Galaxians, and welcome to the Hybrid Files. This is episode 12, the last episode of the season. My opinion on the commodified American. Let's get into it. So what have we covered so far in 12 episodes? Let's see. Consent, consumption, and culture. Conspicuous consent is what I should have said, because it's very conspicuous that we consent to all this. Might be a little manipulated, my opinion. Relationships, commodified. Community, commodified. Check. Family, commodified. Check. Human body. That was interesting, wasn't it? Didn't know melanin went for that price, but commodified. Check. Birth and babies, commodified. Check. Wealth, commodified. Check. You know not everybody gonna be wealthy like that. There's a product you sell and keep as a carrot, keep everybody going. Entanglements. Now that I couldn't stop giggling at the word, because the idea of the type of soft language used, because entanglements is a soft language for I was fucking around. Celebrity, commodified, check. Unspoken trauma, very useful, commodified, check. Soul contracts, constructs, not contracts. I didn't mean to say that. I mean to say it. Social flares. Social construct. That's what I was trying to say. Ooh, many products and many products. Let's get into it. Okay. Oh my goodness. The last episode is always the funniest, don't you think? Always got something going on. But anyway, do you feel like a commodified American? Do you feel like your consent is totally wholly your own, like your eyes are wide open and you consent to this? How about your consumption? Is that conspicuous as well? How about culture? Oh my God. Talk about many products and many products. It's just all over the place, right? So many identities. So many. How about the birth and the babies? You know, rehoming is a strictly American phenomenon. Like they're puppies, like they're pets, right? Okay. How about the human body? Like I said, that was very interesting. I did not know melanin cost that much per gram. I wonder if it's human melanin, because animals have melanin too. You seen the black chicken? I did not know there was a black chicken. But there is a black chicken, a melanated chicken. Oh no, I didn't. And what about, oh my God, unspoken trauma? Do you know that's a commodity? Packaged, shipped, and ready to go, manufactured in a specific type of way. Not that the trauma is not real. Don't get me wrong. Trauma's real. But the way we approach it in American society is quite conspicuous. I mean, how about your emotions tied to unspoken trauma. You know how you get many products, MINI, and many products, MANY, is because you don't talk about the trauma. You don't talk about it. When you don't talk about it, it can be you can pretend it's something else. Oh well, I always have that cough in my throat. I always have back pain. My skin's always itchy. That type of stuff. I mean, these are symptoms that can be placated by other products. And you, the consumer, yes. I mean, what if we actually spoke about our trauma? How would the marketplace change? How would it be affected? Hmm. Would you be able to commodify trauma? Trauma, spoken or unspoken, is a commodity. Did you know that? I didn't. Well, I mean, I see it. I've come to see it. But before I was just going along to get along. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is how it is, right? But wait, I want you to think about something. I want you to think about something. I want you to think about something. How about rights? I didn't bring that up in any of my episodes, but I'm gonna link a video where Noam Chomsky literally says this is how this works. And he's right, he's not wrong. I have a problem with the acceptance of it. You should never accept your own perpetration. You shouldn't just, oh, well, this is how it is. I mean, the perpetrator perpetrates, and we are the victims who get perpetrated against. It's just the way that things are. I don't think you should just lay down and accept that. You should fight because God gave you teeth and you should use them. But that's just me. It's neither here nor there, I guess. But he literally said the store globally, the global store, not the American store, but the global store, rich people have rights. They've uh, have the means and the resources to purchase rights. Therefore, they have rights. You have no resources, you have no rights. And just because that's in this particular link that I'm going to include in the description specifically is talking about certain groups as a point of reference. Just it doesn't, yeah, it can happen on the micro too. It can happen between a one-on-one relationship where, hey, you don't have any of the resources. I provide the resources in this bitch. You ain't got no rights. Doesn't that sound a bit abusive? I think we're in an abusive dynamic here, where the perpetrator gets all the rights and the ones who get perpetrated against have no rights because they just don't have the means to purchase them. You have to purchase rights. What do you think the lobbies are for? That's the marketplace. It's like a gun show. I mean, you go to buy rights. There's no real regulations or regulatory oversight to see who gets what rights and who does not. You get a lobbyist, you create a lobby, and that's how you buy your rights. You buy your rights, you purchase them. You thought because you were a human being, you had inalienable rights. You don't understand store policy now, do you? That's not how that works. There's a thing called what is said and then what is done, and how what is done most of the time contradicts what is said, even if what is said is on paper. Mm. And basically, you have to enforce what's on paper. I mean, come on, we get that, right? We get that, just because a law is a law and it's written down somewhere, it has to be enforced. No enforcement means whatever's on paper doesn't really mean anything. It has to be enforced. And you don't have the money to enforce that. You know how that works. You know how that works. But how about well, how about social constructs? Culture has a lot of social constructs in it, but culture is something that human beings do, in my opinion, to problem solve. See, my definition of culture is It's a relationship that you develop with yourself as you develop a relationship with the environment, the geographical place that you're in, because you have to deal with it. You have to interact with the environment in order to solidify your survival. And then you have other people who you have to engage with and understand and learn. You have to learn yourself in your engagement with them, and you have to learn them in their engagement with you. And then you just create these repetitive behaviors that some parts are real ritualistic based on what type of experience you had in the geographical location. It's why certain coastal cities have similarities but not the same. They all go to the ocean for their sustenance, right? They don't see the ocean and then go back into the forest or whatever landlocked space that might be preceding the ocean. They don't go back. Some of them might, but for the most part, you're going in the ocean to get the food that's there. For the most part, may not be all coastal cities, but for the most part, there. It's also a mode of transportation because it's a coastal city that literally has no barriers, no physical barriers to it for you to come in and, land on the land. Although those are created with harbors and cities and municipalities and regulations and such. But for the most part, people can still come up on the beach from a boat after they've been in the ocean for a while, right? May have to go through a lot of hoops and jumping, but for the most part, you know, water, ship, land, right? So it creates a type of culture, a type of repetitive behavior, repetitive patterns that people become familiar with and associate with these groups of people who live near water, right? And then you have people who live in landlocked areas. They had to go through something geographically. They have a specific type of relationship with the geographical space that they're living in. And they have to learn themselves in relation to that geographical space, learn other people in that geographical. It's basically man versus man versus himself, man versus another, versus nature. That's what creates culture. And it can go on so long, the repetitive pattern, that maybe 100 years, 400 years down the line, you don't understand why you do what you do as a culture, but you continue to do it because that's what your culture is. You don't really understand the origins anymore. It's just what you do. How leadership, some people are seen as leaders depending on what they type of behavior they exhibit. Not everybody has the same criteria for a leader. I think we know that now, right? We know that not everybody has the same criteria for leadership. You get that, right? I know you do. You're so smart. You're not slow at all. I'm telling you, you are very on it. But I'm telling you right now, the commodified American, there's no way you're going to get out of the store without traversing the warehouse floor. Do you understand what I'm talking about? We are data packages. We are product. We are not people. We are product. When we stop thinking we are product, we will become people who have humanity, who have humanness, in which we will respect ourselves and we will respect each other. Do you know what the word respect means? It's just a fancy way of saying I have a healthy fear. A healthy fear. Some fear is healthy to have. I have a healthy fear of fire. That's why I don't play with it. Some people, that's their job. They are fire eaters. They entertain with fire. They are pyrotechnicians. Mhm. But they also only do that because they have a healthy fear of it and they go about specific handling of that element, that earthly element called fire. So I have a healthy fear of fire. I have a healthy fear of the ocean, meaning I'm not just going to get into the ocean without a healthy fear and say, hey, I may need to learn how to move in ocean, meaning learn to swim, learn how to hold your breath, learn how to not get the bends. hmm Yeah, that's called respecting the space around you, right? You not only give other people respect, you give the place in which you live respect, right? Because you have a healthy fear of when it degrades or that it turns on you or becomes inhabitable. You have to have a certain respect. You don't go blind yourself walking along the cliff's edge. You seen those videos where people go to certain spaces or places and they're wildly located on some really steep cliff and they have to traverse this really narrow path, and it looks, from us looking at it from a camera, it looks very precarious, and those people have to embody a healthy fear or they shall fall to their death. You don't go up there like, I'm just going to skip and be drunk and inebriated and just walk up that cliff and everything's going to be fine. No, you're disrespectful at that point. You get it? Respect really just means I have a healthy fear. I think human beings should have a healthy fear of each other until they go about the demonstration and acts of, hey, I'm a reasonable human being. I do not want to cause you harm, and I also don't want harm to come to me. I shall have a healthy fear of you. You should have a healthy fear of me. We are the same in that aspect, that we are potentially mutually destructive to each other. To me, that's what makes all humans equal. It has nothing to do with affinity or gifts, right? But we've been sold a package of respect that's not quite calibrated to humanness until we get a dose of reality of what interacting with another human being is, meaning it escalates to some type of violence. And it's like, oh, I should have had a healthy fear. I should have maintained reasonable tones, blah, blah, blah. Right? So, culture, your consent and how it's manipulated and extracted, how culture gets wrapped up into identity and you can't really let it go. But people let it go because when you put yourself in a different environment, which is a big percentage of what culture, how it generates, is where you're at. That's why when New Yorkers come to LA, they get culture shock. It's why when certain LA people go to New York, they experience culture shock because they have been buying and consuming their product or version of what culture is. And then they go someplace else that has developed a different type of culture, even though it's under the nationality of American, it's a different culture on the East Coast. And every East Coaster will tell you that it's different than West Coast. They will tell you that. People from the South who come here will tell you there's a different culture here because the space is different. Californians specifically do not have to consider certain things that New Yorkers have to, because one, New York is a smaller state. It is one of the states that were populated first, colonized first, I should say. Everybody's coming from across the pond over here. So that's the first thing you have to encounter, and you get your psyche all nice and conditioned about that space and what's in it and how you're supposed to interact in it. Because other people are interacting with that space as well, and they got some ideas of how to survive that piece of land. So do you, but it might be different. You might see something different than they do. They see something to be feared, you see something to negotiate and collaborate with. Totally different ideas. Same space, though. And it really does depend on how you interact with each other, what perspective is going to win out. Because with all our stories about what happened in the past, you best believe the most consistent part of that story is that there's human beings in it, and humans act specifically according to their psychological makeup at the time. All the conditioning of what they've experienced before, what they get told, what reality is, what their world is, all of that, right? But it becomes a commodity, it becomes something that is invested in, that is consented to, that is consumed. It creates a type of cultural package that is sold and consumed. And when you consume something, you're participating in a type of consent. Now, your consent can be extracted with force and manipulation, deceit, and subterfuge. But it's still consent. May not be consent that you gave willingly and may be under duress, but it's still consent. And now you have to, go about the work of reassessing what you consented to. What the hell did I consent to when I did all of these participations and machinations of living in this space? What did I consent to? You consented to a lot of stuff that you didn't know you consented to, because people are also watching you as you watch them, right? People think that no one is really paying attention. They're paying attention self-centeredly, paying attention to you. They're not paying attention to you as you are the thing to be, you are the center. They're paying attention to you peripherally because they're paying attention to themselves. At least that's my experience in California, LA specifically. Paying attention to themselves, not paying attention to anybody else. I don't know. Kind of pros and cons to that, right? But you you go about the business of the store adhering to store policy you didn't even know you signed up to adhere to, because American Dream is a package. Anybody looked at Project 2025? They're looking for that to be the store policy, right? They're not for a variety of choices and options as far as relationships go. They're not for exercising or presenting options as far as community goes. They're not uh, up for presenting options as far as who is a human being and who is not, who is worthy of the absence of violence and the existence of peace. Who deserves that? That's what commodification conditions you to think. It conditions you in a way that sets you up to consent to your own um, objectification, which has doesn't necessarily just mean your sexual objectification, just your objectification as a product, right? So I want you to put your 2 cents in. I'm really interested in your opinions about this. Maybe you're fine with being an object. Maybe you're fine with being commodified and it really doesn't bother you as long as you get your belly filled, the shelter that you're looking for, and you get all the nice, good feelings from all of the products that you're engaging in, whether it be social media products, the product that I'm using right now, the 9 to 5 that you look forward to every day. Some people are fine with being a product. They're fine with gamifying everything, right? Forget the spiritual aspect of anything about human life. It's bullshit to them. Just go about your daily thing and everything will be fine. Stop listening to whatever's going on and just don't be aware. Go do go do what is expected of you to do and you'll be fine. Some people are very fine with that. It psychologically soothes them to do that. That's what people don't realize, that is what's happening right now is a psychological phenomenon. Human beings are psychologically actively going about things that make them feel good. um, whether it is the destruction of another human being. If it makes them feel good, that's what they're going to do. Or telling someone, you're not experiencing what you're experiencing. That's all in your head. People who say stuff like that, it makes them feel good to say stuff like that to you, because now they don't have to deal with whatever you're trying to insist is on happening. They don't have to deal with it. They don't have to break their, I feel good right now. I don't want to feel bad right now. Okay. All right. But the fact that your consent is deceptively extracted from you, you're going to have to consent to something. And I'm telling you right now, the reason why I said we're all in a warehouse, but if you want to get out of the warehouse, you're going to have to traverse the warehouse floor, meaning you're going to have to go through some shit, whether it be soft shit, mildly stanky shit, or just straight up rank shit. You're going to have to go through something. You're going to have to walk the warehouse floor in order to get to the door or the windows. Meaning you're going to have to participate in your own objectification in order to get out of the store. And the store has been global for a long time. America has been a store for a very long time. This is nothing new. When the store started to not adhere to a specific type of store policy, a lot of stuff changed, because the upward mobility of people before Reagan was possible. After Reagan, no, because upward mobility was a product not everybody wanted to consume, just those who already were at the top. You can't be special if you're not the only one there. Some people do that with the construct of race, because some people want to be the only one there. Their story is the only story that counts. It happens because actually that is a psychological thing to happen. That's something that human beings do. And if you would approach the store, as a psychological puzzle, you might find yourself with the ability to get out of the store, which is kind of ironic. You have to basically do the very thing that's being done to you in order to get it, so that you don't have to do it anymore, right? Because I mean, it's very the store is very insidious. It's everywhere. It's ubiquitous in its reach and its expansion. Babies are commodities, and they've been commodities since before the silent generation, since before we started doing giving names to generations of people as if they're products. So millennials can't be individuals. They have to be a specific type of product, because you can't approach them as individuals and actually listen to what they say. Same thing with Gen X. The whole point Gen X was Gen X is because everybody ignores. It's like, who you talk about? Oh, they just go over there. I don't, hell, whatever. In the silent generation, they don't make a peep, right? But I mean, it's nothing to get alarmed about, that there's a whole generation of people who don't say anything. They're just silent, even though they've seen treacherous stuff, the most upheaval, well, not the most upheaval, but just upheaval, and have a silent reaction. Just, I will be silent, even though this is quite messed up that I'm looking at, what I'm looking at, what I'm experiencing. Gen X, oh, where your kids at? They had to make a public service announcement in media because people didn't know where the kids were, because that was like a thing, which makes me go back to babies being a commodity, and commodities are only valuable if they serve you. And so you coming here against your will, you come with a job. Like, there's a job waiting for you once you get here. Did you know that you were employed when you were born and that you had a specific job to fulfill? People bring babies because babies are commodities. That's why white babies get adopted more than black and brown babies do. A glut of one and a dearth of the other. Hmm. We might be thinking of children in a certain way. Just saying, right? I personally don't think we, as a species, we like our kids. Uh, but that's just me. You can love your kids, I guess, but if you don't like them, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, why'd you bring them here if you don't like kids? They were supposed to do something for you. Children are here for themselves. They're not here for you. That was a trick of commodification, trying to sell you the ideal family of nuclear family, and it's a mother and a father and this and that and the other, and it's like, oh, we bringing these kids, but it didn't give what it was supposed to give, and now I don't like these motherfuckers. These motherfuckers don't like me. That's a phenomenon that's happening. People are talking about that stuff because it's a commodity. It's people do what they're told for the most part in this particular store, the store system or the system of the store. People do what they're told because they are commodified in their minds and in their psyche. You're a product at the end of the day. You reflect your parents. You are not a totally autonomous being. You reflect your parents. Everything you do is a reflection on them. And so, you know, you get boxed, packaged, and delivered. That's why women, it, the whole thing that women were supposed to be this thing, and then now there's this big kerfuffle about women are not doing what they're quote unquote supposed to in society because you believe the packaging and women are water. We're affected by the moon, boo boo. We're not only earthly, we're celestial at the same time. We're water. And you got fooled by the package that we're highly adaptable people, women are, and we know how to, you know, put ourselves in a form so that we can survive and get resources. You got fooled by the package. I don't know what to tell you. That I don't. That's not. I don't. mm, I, yeah. I mean. Yeah. That's. Don't know what to tell you about that. It's literally we're water, and water can take on the form of the container that it's in. That's just what it is. Now, I also talked about the human body and wealth and entanglements and celebrity. I mean, if you want to concentrate on celebrity and how we feel very entitled as an audience that consumes celebrity and, have fanciful ideas about becoming one, since influencers and on content creators are also a new lane of celebrity. Yeah. Talk about consent. That little sticky wicket. I want to be famous. But now I don't want to be famous. Why you all up in my business? Well, you can't put your business out there. Some celebrities pay paparazzi to follow them around and make it seem like, something else. But, the audience, as the content changes and becomes something different, the audience becomes a little bit more used to the grift. And now we're more sophisticated in what we see. We know what we like. And I think parts of our own psyche and our consciousness understands that we're kind of being like played with a little bit in front of our face, but some of us might like the spectacle of it all. Some of us, some celebrities, you know, they kind of, they kind of, you know, they contribute, you know, they contribute because I mean, celebrity is how they eat. Celebrity is how they eat. And then there's infamous people. Certain serial killers have gotten fame. Can't stop talking about them. Just whoop, 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 whoop. Manson, Dahmer, Bundy. They got they got play cards somewhere because people are fascinated by white serial killers for some reason. I don't know why that fascinates them. I mean, they're just doing what animals do. That's not very fascinating. I mean, unless you're being the one eaten. Then it's beyond fascinating. It's terrifying. But I want you to counter my point. I know I don't know everything. This is just my opinion. It's what I've observed. I think commodities everywhere. This is a commodity, what I'm doing right now. It's not that I think there's this big solution that you can opt out. I mean, you can be a DIYer, you can be a really intense a prepper, but ultimately you have to engage with the store. You can put yourself out of commission, literally and figuratively. Literally meaning go into the woods and have nobody find you, or buy a piece of land from the commodity from the store which you live in, and just put a not active, just not active. This is grayed out. It's decommissioned. Just don't look over in that part of the store. It's literally a dead space. Do that. People get away with a lot if you can't see them. I mean, I mean, wow. It's just you don't have to be directed dependent at all. You can pick yourself up by the bootstraps by doing certain things yourself. You can just learn it and literally mystify yourself that you have the capability of learning such skill sets. But, not everybody wants to do everything. So the whole hypocritical statement of, pick yourself up by the bootstraps, where? In this store? I don't think so. You would make any money if everybody was a DIYer. If everybody was a prepper, you would make no money because everybody would make it for themselves, make their own furniture, make their own food, create their own vehicles, extract their own resources. Isn't that the whole point of commodifying energy? Because if energy was in the hands of individuals, you wouldn't be able to make money. Wasn't that the whole fight between Tesla and Edison? Edison literally said, how do we make money with this if you're going to give it to everybody for free? So isn't it a little bit hypocritical to say people, can you just pick yourself up by the bootstraps? Bullshit. You don't want people to pick up themselves by the bootstraps. You want to be the middleman in which they come to and are dependent on and directed to depend on. But you want people to pick themselves up by the bootstraps? Bullshit. You don't make no money off no independent motherfuckers. You don't make money off of independent pick up by the bootstrap motherfuckers. That's why the whole Black Wall Street and all the towns that white people didn't like, they were jealous of, they tore them down. Those motherfuckers are picking themselves up by the bootstraps. We can't allow that shit. They must remain in a position in which they shall always be lower than us. They can never rise higher than us. Whiteness, construct, literally a product. Blackness, construct, literally a product. People are literally going about the things that humans do to survive a perpetrator that is unending, does not give pause, is just always over you. You can see the similar behavior in a DV situation, and the person can't get out. They can't get out because the DV perpetrator is just everywhere. It's ubiquitous, just on them. Can't run away, can't say nothing, just under their gaze and control and power. Can't leave. So they have to create different survival skill sets under that, right? And so, but the store is forever trying to figure out how to create product out of everything. So even your unspoken trauma, your dreams of wealth, your relationships, the communities you find yourself in or gravitating because you have an affinity for, they're all products. Everything that you put into this store as you are doing, as you are being a human being, becomes a product. It can be used against you, or it can be not used against you. The thing that you probably should consider is really having a conversation with yourself about what you will not sell and what you will not consume. Because I'm telling you right now, you're going to have to engage in some type of commodification or objectification of yourself just to get out the motherfucking store, just to get out of the warehouse that houses you. You have to traverse the warehouse floor in order to get out of the store. Doors over there, windows over there. But you gotta you gotta walk the floor in order to get to the door and to the windows to get out. So how do you think, what's the smartest way you think you should commodify yourself in order to get out of the store? You think you should just destroy the store? People have tried, but you just can't quite get that consensus, that level of consensus. You just can't get it. Protests, product. That's why they're not effective. Did you not? Not effective because didn't we do this shit already? Yeah. Product. Manipulated. Some parts of it forgotten. Still product. They'll give you a way to protest in order to keep you going after the wrong thing. Not thinking critically as a human being that needs to survive being a store product. Something to think about, don't you think? Well, that's it for today. I can't keep going on or else this will be too long of a video. It is the 12th episode. Thank you for sticking with me for 12 episodes and a whole season of the Hybrid Files, the Commodified American, Consent, Consumption, and Culture. I hope you enjoyed my point of view. I hope you enjoyed countering my point of view. I hope you given me something new to learn, as I've given you something new to think about. Huh? All right. So get prepared for a second season. Yes, a second season of the Hybrid Files. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do, but it's going to be fun. Nothing so serious and heavy as the think piece of commodification. I guarantee it. You might even enjoy some commodification and objectification, if you know what I mean. But that is all. Please like, share, and subscribe and comment, share, like. Yeah, I think somewhere there's an order that makes sense. But just make sure you do all of them. How about that? Happy galaxying. Happy galaxying. Bye.